So here we have Avraham Avinu has just had the bris milah, and Vayeira elav Hashem be'elonei Mamre. Hashem appears to him in elonei Mamre. Mamre is a man, the Medrash says, who gave him the. Avraham Avinu wasn't sure if he should do the bris milah in private or in public, because he was concerned that if you do it publicly, he's going to be weak, everybody's going to be weak, the enemy's, and nobody's happy. The bris milah apparently was just a sign of we are different. And again, it's the organ of reproduction, which represents, I guess, the people, the continuity of the people. So he was worried that this is gonna antagonize people. So he went to this man named Mamre, Aner, Eshkol, and Mamre. Two of them said to do it privately, and Mamre said to him, do it publicly. Publicly meaning don't hide what you're doing. Doesn't mean out in the open. It means don't hide what you're doing. Let everybody know. The same God that protected you till now will protect you now. Avraham Avinu was only concerned because, in Judaism, you always have to behave responsibly. So you can't, there's a concept, ein somchim al hanes. You can't rely on a miracle. We daven for parnasa, but you still got to go to work. You daven for parnasa, and you just hope your wife doesn't use the credit card too much. Maybe that's called relying on a miracle, I'm not sure. But you daven for you daven, but you can't, you still have to take responsible efforts. Everyone was worried that maybe it's not responsible to go and circumcise in public. And everybody knows, and then I'm weak, and if they attack us, I can't defend them. Mamre said, don't worry about it. At your level, because of what God's shown you, demonstrated, this would be responsible. I consider it responsible. So Avraham does it in elonei Mamre, around the region, the tents of this man, Mamre. Now he's standing at the entrance of the tent in the heat of the day. And there are different opinions here, because often if a person doesn't feel well, so sometimes the sun, especially if you have a wound, so sometimes the heat of the sun is good for you. Others say no, to the contrary, the heat of the sun is not good. He was staying in the tent in order that the shade, he should be blocked from the heat of the sun. Different opinions exactly based on, sometimes in life you don't feel well, you go out into the fresh air, it's a nice warm day, you feel better, depending on what a person's suffering from. Here, says he was standing there by the tent, and Avraham Avinu, what's he doing there? What does he want more than anything else? He wants to go and have guests in the home. Avraham Avinu wants to have guests. He's a man, his chesed. He's always doing kindness, and his whole essence is to give to others. He's looking for guests. So it says like this, sees three men. He runs out from the entrance of the tent and bows. Vayomar, and he says, Adonai, my masters, if I find favor in your eyes, please don't pass by. Please come in and be my guests. Now the Medrash says like this. The Medrash says, first of all, the Torah starts off with this because it wants to show you the contrast between the Jewish people and what we're going to see later in the Parsha. What people will come into play in a little while in the Parsha? Who are we going to talk about? The destruction of whom? Which city, states, the destruction of Sodom. So the Torah wants to show you, here you have a contrast. The people of Sodom are known for their cruelty, their immorality, everything negative, any negative adjective that applied to them. And so the Torah opens up with the diametric opposite, which is Avraham Avinu, who is looking to perform kindness while he's in pain. Remember, Avraham Avinu just is on the third day of his circumcision as an older person. It's not like a baby. It's an older person who's in a lot of pain, number one. And number two, Avraham Avinu is the circumcision represents the control in the area of morality, right? Being on that organ of reproduction, it represents control in the area of man's strong drives. And therefore, you have the polar opposites here. You got Avraham Avinu on the one hand, and you have chesed and self-control versus what we're going to see later on coming up in the Parsha, which is Sodom, which is utter cruelty and total lack of self-control. Right? That's the contrast that we're going to be seeing, which is going to come into play in a little while in the Parsha. Now, there's a medrash over here that says that when Avraham Avinu, before he went out looking for guests, the first thing he did was he sent what's his name, Eliezer out. He sent his servant Eliezer to go find guests, and Eliezer comes back and he didn't find them. He comes back and says, I didn't see any guests, boss. So Avraham Avinu says, the Gemara says, Leisem nusa ba'avdei. You can't rely on a slave. And he goes out and he finds the guests. Now, you know what that? Yeah, what does that mean? You can't rely on the slaves. I mean, this is the man who runs his entire. He's the CEO of Avram's corporation. He runs his finance. He runs everything else. What do you mean you can't rely on the slaves? What does that mean? What does that mean you can't rely on the servants? So the best thing I could compare it to is, you fellas, it's probably your mother, and a little later in life it'd be the wife. Your mother ever said to you, "Do me a favor, go in the back room and get me the orange towel." And you go in the back room, "I can't find it." Right? You can never find the towel they're looking for. You ever notice that? Your wife says to you, "Go find me, hey Daniel, go find me the red towel in the back room." Daniel's standing there, 20 minutes. "I can't find it." It's right in front of your eyes. Then your wife comes out, she says, "Here it is, it's right here." Right? If it hasn't happened to you, you're not married. Right? And if it hasn't happened to you at home, then your mother's never sent you for a towel. Right? Because it always happens. Why? The answer is it just wasn't that important to me. If you send me for a red towel, to me, there's a red towel, green towel, blue towel, they're all the same. As long as it dries me off after a shower, I'm good. Wife actually wants a specific towel, with their colored patterns and I can't find it. Why? They're not important to you. If she'd say to you, "By the way, there's a $20 bill in the back room, go find it." Anyway, like that, you'd find it. Right? No problem. That you find. $20 bills were good. Right? The red towels, Leisim Nusavi. He sends out Eliezer, "Go find me some servants." Oh, come on, boss. I mean, if you're the servant, especially if you're the servant in the house, who do you think, who's the job going to end up on? Who's the job going to be on? Right? The job's going to end up on you, so you're not that excited about it. I heard about a woman, had a big family, and she found out she's expecting. So she calls over her 12-year-old daughter. She says, "Interesting news, we're going to have another member in the family." And the girl starts crying. I says, "What's wrong?" She says, "Well, you have babies, but then I got a lot more work to do in the house." Right, which you don't ever want your kids to feel that way. It's not about siblings. You gotta monitor how much responsibility you saddle them with. So the servant, I'm going to go out and get guests, and that means I got more work to do, and I'm going to have to start cooking and if you ever have a restaurant, and it's a slow day. Right, the only one who's upset is the owner of the restaurant. The hired help doesn't, and they get paid by the hour. They don't care unless they get tips. Right? They don't care. What it says, "Well, take it easy." You sit down and paw away at your smartphone or whatever you got till something happens. Hey, what do I care? I'm not looking to work. I'm looking to get paid. So Avram says, "Leisem nusabavi." What's the Torah really trying to communicate? Avram, you want to go do the mitzvah? If you really want the mitzvah, then you'll find the mitzvah. Avram goes out and he sees the guests. Hashem sends malachim, they're angels. Why? Because you really want to do it. HaKadosh will give you the opportunity to do it, but you got to want to do it. You have to genuinely want to do it. So Avraham goes out there. Okay, he sees these men and he invites them into the house. Now there's a very, very interesting a little development over here, which shows you the long-term effects of our actions. It says like this: Yukach na me'at mayim. Take a look at pasuk dal. Yukach na me'at mayim. Let a little water be taken. V'rachatzu raglechem. Wash your feet. V'hishanu tachas ha'esh. And lean down under the tree. Now if you take a look at Rashi here on Yukach na me'at mayim. Yukachna al yedei shliach. Let one of the agents, let somebody in the house do it for me. V'HaKadosh Baruch Hu shilem lebanav al yedei shliach. HaKadosh Baruch Hu paid through an agent. Shenemar, as it says, Vayeira Moshe es yodo v'yachas asel. Moshe picked up his hand and he hit the rock. In other words, HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought down manna directly. The manna fell directly from heaven. Water. Kodesh Baruch Hu said, "Moshe Rabbeinu, you hit the rock." In other words, Kodesh Baruch Hu could have brought the water without an intermediary. Yet Moshe Rabbeinu has to be the intermediary to bring out the water. Now listen carefully, because the ramifications here are remarkable. You see, first of all, why does Avraham say a little bit of water? Let's take a little bit of water, and we'll wash your feet. Why a little bit of water? So first of all, it's always more respectful for guests. If you say, "You know what, let's get we'll bring you a little bit of something to eat," then you bring out a big, nice meal for them. It's more respectful to the guests. Compared to what I should be giving you, it should really be more. And number two, there's an insight into human nature here. When you bring in guests into the home, there's only one thing you should be concerned about, which is what the guests really want. And sometimes people get so confused. I want to do my mitzvah. I want to do my mitzvah. Now don't give me a hard time. You're my mitzvah. Right? And they just impose on you, and you're trapped. You're actually captured by your host, because the good host wants to be, and it's really not what you want. And so he understands, these people might be in a rush. If I say bring in a lot of water, we're going to wash their feet off. Their feet are probably hot and swollen. They've been traveling in the desert. We'll bring in a lot of water. right? But then they may feel that they have to stay here for longer. Maybe they don't want to stay that long. So the most important, by the way, I saw somebody once point out, if you ever have a guest in your house, what's the most important thing to do for your guests? What's the most important thing? Guest arrives after a long trip or a short trip. What's that? Okay, food is second. When it comes to comfort of the guest, so it's brought down. The most important thing, he has a good, comfortable bed. A good, comfortable bed, because if the bed's not comfortable, you can give him a great meal. If the bed's not comfortable, he can't sleep. Right, so the bed has to have comfortable sleeping sleeping arrangements. Number one. Number two, it's very subtle and almost something that a lot of people don't think of. A guest comes into your home. Make sure one of the first things you do is let them know where the bathroom is. People are often embarrassed to ask for the bathroom. They usually have to use the bathroom. I wouldn't say, "Hi, here's the bathroom." I would, you can say, "Hi, how are you? Nice to see you. By the way, if anybody needs the facilities, they're in that room." Make sure that you mention it so that people, because otherwise, somebody say, "Do you have a bathroom?" No, we don't have one. We're one of those rare families that never had one. I don't know. We got there's a little what do you call it, out in the yard? Let the guy know we got lodgings over here. Let the guy know that there's something available. Guys, and people are very embarrassed. Just a subtle little point. Number three, make sure that what you're doing is what the guy. I was just on a trip somewhere, and the hosts were all over me, and I had to do a program there in a certain city. I had to do a program, and I was not feeling that well. The night before I left on the trip, where I went to the airport, I wasn't feeling well. It was a program for these people, and they were just kind of urging me, eat this and take this. Yeah. And at a certain point, I just said to them, listen, I'll tell you, I know what I need, and I know what I need now, and I know what's going to work. Let's just do it my way, okay? Because they just weren't getting the hint. And so at a certain point, you feel bad, but the good host is what I need, not what you want me to need. A very, very important point in life. You've been in a Shabbos table. Sometimes the good hostess wants you to eat gefilte fish. And every Jewish woman believes that her gefilte fish is the best gefilte fish since Gan Eden, right? And depending on how you and gefilte fish get along, I personally am not a gefilte fish. My wife has not made homemade gefilte fish in about 35 years, right? Because I don't eat gefilte fish. So I go to people's houses and say, "You have gefilte?" I thank you very much. Try mine. And what I'm thinking is, there are a lot of things I would do, like bungee jumping and alligator wrestling, before I would try this gefilte fish. And so when I was in yeshiva before I got married, I used to tell people, I would just say, I just say, well, I'm allergic to fish. Oh, allergic. People have respect for allergies. Is there something we could get you instead? Well, the doctor said steak is a real good one. Allergies, everybody respects. So you have to make sure, if you're the host, make sure that you are focused on what the guest wants, not what you want the guest to want. Number one. Number two, listen very carefully now. This is pretty. It really gives you an idea of what responsibilities we have. Avraham Avinu, it says, mitzvah bo yoser mi bishlucho. There are certain things you can do through an agent. You could do the mitzvah through an agent. You could have the agent give tzedakah for you. You could have an agent give him the ring and say hareat mekudeshasli, betroth the woman for you. Yet the Gemara in Kedushin says, mitzvah bo yoser mi bishlucho. It's a mitzvah for you to do it more than to assign it to an agent. So here the Torah comes along. The Torah says, listen, Avraham Avinu said, let some water be brought. He sent somebody to do it for him. And in the end, that which he did through an agent, HaKadosh Baruch Hu does through an agent. Okay? Who's the agent? Moshe Rabbeinu. But what happened as a result of Moshe Rabbeinu becoming the agent? He ended up hitting the rock. Moshe Rabbeinu hit the rock. And what happened as a result of hitting the rock? He didn't go into Eretz Yisrael. And what happened as a result of him? Well, what if, let's back in the other direction. What if Moshe Rabbeinu would have gone into Eretz Yisrael with the Jewish people? That would have been the ultimate redemption. We have a Beis Hamikdash. And we would have none of the aggravation we have today. So what's a result of one action of Avraham Avinu thousands of years earlier? That's going to cause that we do not have the Beis Hamikdash today yet. Because Avraham Avinu did it through an agent. You understand? Those are the ramifications of a person's action are very, very far-reaching. A person doesn't know, where is this going to lead to down the line? Isn't it a frightening thought, right? You did, yes. Pretty frightening, isn't it? One thing you do today, who knows what that ramifications are going to be down the line in future generations. Moshe Rabbeinu became necessary because Avraham Avinu used an agent over here. Okay, number one. Number two, take a look at a couple lines later, and then it says like this. Ve'el habokar, 4 lines from the bottom. It says Ve'el habokar rotz Avraham, 4 lines from the bottom in the Chumash. He ran to the cattle. Vayikach ben bokar rach v'tov. He takes a young, soft, plump calf, which Chazal say there are actually 3 of them. There were actually 3 of them, 1 per customer. It's pretty generous helping. Right? So he wanted each one of them to be able to eat tongue. I mean, even those who like tongue, again, tongue is only second on my list to gefilte fish, but even for those who like tongue, I don't think you eat a whole tongue. You know, you have a couple of slices of tongue put on a sandwich, right? Here, he wanted each one to have his own tongue with, I guess, a very generous. Vayited ala nahar, he gives it to the lad. Vayimar la so, and he goes and he hurries up to do it. Now, you see over here again, take a look at Rashi and Pasuk Zayin, El Hana'ar. 5 lines from the bottom in the left column of Rashi. 5 lines from El Hana'ar, says Rashi, Zeh Yishmael. Who is this lad hanging around there? It's Yishmael. Lechancho b'mitzvahs. And he did it. Why did he ask Yishmael to do it? Because he wanted to train him to do the mitzvahs. Very nice. Except that Rashi has already told us that there is a criticism for Avraham Avinu for everything that he did through an agent. But if he did it through the agent, and let's back up and let's assume that the one he told to bring the water was also Yishmael. Let's assume. So why was he telling Yishmael to do it? He was doing it in order to chinuch. There's a mitzvah of chinuch. There's a mitzvah to train him. So why would he go and what's the criticism? If this was all done for the sake of chinuch, bring the water, where's the criticism of Avraham Avinu? You know the answer, gentlemen? The answer is that's not how you train children. That's not training. You don't train children by having them do it. Training children is by having children see how you do the mitzvahs. That trains children. When they see how you do the mitzvahs, that's what trains them. Controlling children is not hard. To control a child and get a child to do something is not hard at all. But getting him to do it is not training. Getting him to do it just means, your dad's standing over me, he's bigger, stronger, and faster. I'm helpless. I have to do it, otherwise I'm in big trouble. That's not chinuch, that's not training. Training is that you get the child to see how a mitzvah is actually done. You know how you do it? When the child sees how you do the mitzvah. So the father sees, the kid goes to shul with his father. So the father sits there, he tells the kid, daven. Then he turns to the market's up again, and the market's down, up, sports, the whole thing. So the kid, that's training for the kid. You know what the kid learned? When he's a father, he's going to do like this to his kid. He says, daven. He's going to turn to say, market's up, down, and because that's what he does. That's how he's trained. You want to train the kid to do it, so let's see how you do it. My son once walked over to me. I had two very sobering experiences with my kids. First was my oldest son. He's about 3 years old. So I walked past the kitchen one night. It's about 11 o'clock at night. Quiet, house is quiet. And I walked past the kitchen. The refrigerator door is open. The kid's got a big bottle of Coke or something, Pepsi, and he's drinking out of the bottle. 3-year-old little pitzel. He's drinking out of the bottle. And my first thought was, now where did he learn to do that? Exactly where he learned how to do that. It wasn't something he thought of on his own. All of a sudden you realize, hey, they're watching everything. This is no good. They see absolutely everything, number one. Right? Then my other son, my third son, I was once sitting at the table. My wife was chasing the kids around. She's getting them to sleep. I was sitting and eating supper. So the kid is about 5 years old. So he walks over. I'm sitting there eating. He walks over. He kind of puts his elbow on me, just staring at me for a second, and he looks and he goes, Daddy, do you love to eat? Do I love to eat? I mean, we don't love to eat. We eat because we have to be strong, so we can serve Hashem. Came up with something lame like that. Now, all right. I like to eat as much as the next guy, the kid. So I always wondering, how come he never came over to me? How come he never ever come over to me at 5 years old? Daddy, do you love to learn Mishnayos? Right? That he never said. And the answer, and he saw me learning Mishnayos. The answer is that apparently the kid, what he saw my enthusiasm level eating supper and my enthusiasm level learning Mishnayos somehow did not match, right? And the kid picked that up. So you want to, what do you call it? You want to train the kid. The kid's going to have to see. The kid's going to have to see what you do. I heard about a family, a beautiful story. A family was living, Jewish family. The father had to go to some town, not completely non-Jewish town, for a couple of years on business. So one Friday night, The wife sets the table. She sets an extra plate and an extra chair. Okay, she does it the next Friday night. An extra plate, an extra. The third Friday night, one of the kids says, "Hey, Mommy, how come you keep setting an extra plate and an extra chair?" Somebody says, "Look, we're in a town over here. We don't have any other Jews in town. We're not able to have guests for Shabbos. But I don't want that we should forget that there's a mitzvah of having guests. So I set the extra tray, the extra plate, the extra chair, so that it should be a reminder for us that when we go back to our community, we won't forget the mitzvah of Achdos HaZorchim." I want to tell you something. That probably penetrated more in these kids more than any of the guests they ever had in the rest of their life. Because usually when something is a little bit off the track, that's what a kid remembers. That's what the kid notices. The way a mother answers the door. You know, you guys have been to Shabbos. You know, sometimes you knock on the door at 3 in the afternoon, you're visiting for Shabbos. So you have one host or hostess who has a, "Hi, welcome." You have the other one who opens the door, it's kind of, "Oh, well, you're here. I guess you may as well come in." You know, and you know, that makes an impression on the kids. With the parents, who makes an impression on the kids. It's the way parents answer the phone. You get a guy, you pick up, "Yeah." yeah. Right? You have another big, "Hello," right? And it all goes. The kids see absolutely everything. You know, leave that door open so we get some air. The kids see absolutely everything that's happening in the house, and that's where the training is. So Avraham Avinu over here, you want to train your son. Let's see how you do it. Don't force the kid to do it. Let's see how you do them. It's obviously you got to get your kids to do certain things. Obviously, you have to train the kids. You have to do certain things. But let's see how you do it. That's what's going to penetrate the deepest. Okay. So Avraham Avinu, they sit there and they eat. And then the Torah comes up in the Torah. It says the following. Top of page 80. Vayomer love Aye Sarah Ishtach. Where is Sarah, your wife? Vayomer Hine Ba'ol. She's back in the tent. Sarah was very tznius. She didn't stay out in the open, out in public display. And you're talking about a very beautiful woman. And sorry, man, it's tznius. You know, the Medrash says that all women compared to Sarah Imenu looked like a monkey compared to a human being. That's how beautiful she was. All women looked women compared to Sarah were like a monkey compared to a human being. So I think that there's more in that Medrash than just the plain description. I don't think it just means, wow, she's so beautiful, so outstandingly beautiful, they look like monkeys, she looks like I think there's more to it. A monkey is the single creature that always loves to be the center of attention. Right? Monkey plays to the crowd. Sarah Imenu is so tsanua. And remember, a woman is a beautiful woman, very often has a big yitzhar to put herself on display. And Sarah Imenu is so tsanua that other women are monkeys compared to her, the way her level of staying out of the public eye. And here she is in the tent. Sarah Imenu's in the tent. So he says like this. Vayomer shova shuv elecha ka'es chaya. I'm going to come back a year from now. V'hine ben l'sarei ishtecha. Sarah is going to will have a baby. V'sarah shomas pesach ha'ol v'acharav. Sarah overheard this from behind the tent. And then the Torah emphasizes that Avram and Sarah zakenim boim bayamim. Avram and Sarah were getting on in age, on years. Chada aliyos l'Sarah orach kanashim. Sarah was in past menopause. She no longer had a regular cycle. She was beyond childbearing years. Now pay attention carefully. This is the pasuk we want to get to, gentlemen. Vatitzchak Sarah bekir b'leim, where Sarah laughs inwardly and she says, Acharei velosi haisa liedna v'adoni zakein. After I'm all wrinkly, I'm going to go get all smoothed out again, and my husband is older. And then Vayomer Hashem al Avram, Lama zet tzachak Sarah le'mora afum nemei lev v'ani zakanti. Why is Sarah laughing and saying, how could I give birth? I'm too old. Hayipolei me Hashem davar? Is anything beyond God? Lamoid ashuv elecha geis chayel Sarah ben. I'm going to come back in a year, and Sarah's going to have a baby. Now, why don't you turn back for a second, gentlemen? For Vayomer Elokim el Avram, Sarah ishtech lo sikra shma Sarah ki Sarah shma. Uveirachti osa, I'm going to bless her. V'gam nasati mimena lechaben. You're going to have a son from Sarah. Ubeirachti v'aisa legoyim malchei ami mimeno you. She's going to have big nations, and she's going to have prominent kings. So what is Avram's reaction to hearing that Sarah's going to have a baby? Vayipol Avram al panav, it's like he falls over and he laughs. Vayomer belibo halaven mea shana yivoli and Sarah basishi shana teleit. And he says inwardly, "What? I'm 100 years. I'm going to give birth. She's 90." Yet when Sarah laughs, what happens? Yeah. God says, "Avram, why is Sarah laughing?" And then Avram takes her to task for it. He says, "Why'd you laugh?" She said, "I didn't laugh." Because she was what do you call it? She's scared. She's being confronted. So why is there a difference? Why is there a difference? So first of all, look at the wording. When Sarah laughs, it says by Avraham Avinu, he falls down and he laughs, and then he says to himself, how can we have children at this age? Look at by Sarah on page 80, 5 lines from the top. Vatitzchak Sarah bekirba, she laughs inwardly, lemor, saying the following. This is what her laughter meant. I'm gonna have children after such an old age. You see, there's a very subtle difference, but this is all the difference. There are two types of laughters. Where is Avram's laughter? Avram's laughter is external. It's only after he laughs externally because he's so happy, he says to himself, this is unbelievable. You mean after I'm 100 years old, we're going to have a child? Unbelievable. But it's a laughter of joy. When you laugh inwardly, which it says, sorry, Menu laughed inwardly. So what kind of laughter is that? Skepticism, cynicism, exactly correct. Right? Sorry, man. Oh, sure. Right? That's an inner laugh. And by the way, that's why Sarah denies it. According to some, you know why she denies it? She isn't even aware she did it. It's so subtle, she's not even aware. She said, no, I didn't laugh. You know, inwardly, there was that inner, you're laughing at it. Okay, now 1 second. Okay, 1 second. So far, so good, right? I want to ask you a question. First of all, why didn't she know? Avraham Avinu was told that he's going to have children. Why didn't she know? She has to overhear the angel? You know, there are commentaries that say that Avraham Avinu, right after he was told, he then gets the command to do the bris milah. He got so busy with the bris milah, he didn't even tell Sarah Imenu yet the good news. Imagine he wanted to tell her, oh, by the way, Sarah, I got some really good news. Yeah, no kidding. What is going to, no rain tomorrow? You know, there's going to be no traffic. No, something a little bit more significant. We're going to have a child. You know, and he doesn't tell her because he's so busy doing the bris milah. You know how it is, you know, even if you want to tell her, she's going to interrupt you for details anyway, right there. You know? I got some really good news. How did you hear? Well, you know, I was downtown. How'd you get there? What bus number? You know, forget it. I'm not telling you news. You blew it. You know, forget it. Next time, don't interrupt me. So Avraham Avinu, he got some good, and he doesn't tell her. He doesn't even tell her the news. Okay? Now, I want to ask you a question. You're Sarah Imenu. You're 90 years old. You're past childbearing years. 3 vagrants come out of the desert. They've been in the sun, and you give them something to eat, and one of them turns and says to your husband, next year you're going to be holding a baby. Now, what would your reaction be? All right. Well, you know, everybody thinks, must be a hidden tzaddik. You know, like in Israel, every nut you see on the street, oh, must be a hidden tzaddik. There's a guy dressed like King David, and there's a guy dressed like King David's harp. You know, he must be a hidden tzaddik, right? There he is. You know, either at the Kaisel or in Tzfas or somewhere else. Yeah, amazing how the harp smells like vodka too. You know, that's some harp over there, right? So I mean, what would your reaction be? You know, you're completely. Some guy comes up and says, "Don't worry, next year you're going to be a multi-millionaire. Take it from me." This is a guy can't even afford a shirt. He's telling you he's going to be. I guess every cab driver in Israel knows how to fix the economy. Every cab driver knows exactly what the prime minister should do to fix the economy, except that he's driving a cab, right? But everybody, he's an expert. That guy, what would your reaction be? Honestly, what would your reaction be, right? So what do you want from Sarah Imenu? The guy came in. You know what the Ramban says? What was her flaw here? You know what Sarah Imenu's flaw was? The flaw was not believing this guy. Her flaw was that when he said, a year from now you're going to hold a baby, she should have said, Amen. Amen means, so should. Hopefully it'll be. Meaning that she has to acknowledge the fact that it could be. Not because, and this is where we got to be careful, not because maybe this guy is a hidden tzaddik. Not because of that. Because anyone who would say it, you have to acknowledge the fact that God is not limited at any point under any circumstances. And if Sarah Imenu, if somebody says, next year you're going to be holding a baby, say, Amen. Not because maybe you're one of those mysterious harp people. No. It's because maybe the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I believe he could do it. Not because you said it. Because I believe HaKadosh Baruch Hu do it. That's the why Sarah Imenu is taken to task. should you believe these guys? Who knows who these guys are? Some guys come out of the desert. Who knows who they are? But the fact that you acknowledge that HaKadosh Baruch Hu could do it, and that is a fundamental of our faith. Our fundamental of our faith is that under any circumstance, no matter how far removed we are from any sort of situation where it looks like we're in trouble, and a person that sees no way out, a Torah Jew has to believe, not that he will get out of it, but that God could get him out of it. Sometimes a person is buried so deep he doesn't see how can I possibly get out of this? How can I possibly get out of this mess? And a person has like, there was a story in Basel, Switzerland, from Jewish couple, 13 children, guys learning in Kolo, poor as a shul mouse. They get a knock on the door, a lawyer shows up. He says the wealthiest person, non-Jew, in Basel died, he has no heirs, and he left his multi-million-dollar estate to the biggest family in Basel. You got a frum couple with 13 kids. The next biggest family is 1.2 with a few Swiss chocolate bars, right? And here you are, 13 kids. He goes from rags to riches overnight. We had a guy, some learning in Orsa Math. There was a student of ours, former student of ours. His brother won a $5 million lottery in California. He had to borrow money in order to get down to the lottery office to collect his winnings, to bring his tickets down. He won overnight it changed. Overnight it changed. Can it happen? That's will it happen? Can it happen? And a Jew has to believe, I believe God has ways that are beyond me. I believe it could happen. Okay, that's the way to go. By the way, I want to tell you a story. I heard a story. These Jewish kashrus, what's it called? Kashrus mashgichim supervisors. Kashrus supervisors. So they had to go to Japan. A lot of factories all over the world that make emulsifiers, this fires, that fires. So they go to Japan. So when they get to Japan, they had to catch a connecting flight. So when they get to the counter, the Japanese lady says to them, listen, you have to pay another $200 for your connecting flight. So the guy says, that's not true. The ticket goes all the way through the agent. The ticket it covers the connecting flight. No, yes. They started arguing. So at a certain point, she turned to her colleague at the desk, and she cursed them in Japanese because they're giving her a hard time. So these guys were tired. They're jet lagged, frustrated. It's going to cost them $200. So one of them turns to the other one and uses an expression from the Talmud. Says, Shiyamusu misa mishuna. He says, may they drop dead painfully. That's basically what it means. Now, he shouldn't have said it. It was a nice thing to say, but he was frustrated. He was jet-lagged. And, he just kind of went, Shiyamusu misa mishuna. So she says to them in broken English, go to office. She points down the corridor. Go to office. Okay, they knock on the office door. They hear a voice. They knock on, come in. They walk in. There's a Japanese colonel sitting behind the desk. He says, what's the problem, fellas? He says, listen, our ticket goes all the way through. She's giving us a hard time. And what do you call it? He says, let me see your tickets. He pulls out his pen. He initials the tickets. He says, you can get on the plane. What happened? Turned out his name was Shayamusu Misam Shuna. So when they said Shayamusu Misam Mishuna, she got nervous that they had protexia with the colonel over there and that she was giving her a hard time. So she said, go talk to the girl. So Mr. Shayamusu Misam Shuna then takes out his pen and initials the tickets, and off they go, and on they get onto the plane. So a Jew says, hey, there's no way out. And somebody asks me, is that story true? I want to tell you something. If it's not true, I'd love to meet the guy who made it up. Whoever made it up is the guy you want to hang out with. I was told it's a true story, and it's certainly true that I heard it. A Jew sometimes is you're in trouble. You're in trouble. I don't know way out. Next thing you know, the delivery, the Yeshua could come from all sorts of funny places. Okay, so then Avram Avinu, the Malachim leave, and then on page 82 we go to the intriguing people of Sodom. 4 lines from the top. Vayomer Hashem, Zakas Sodom va'amora ki rabba, v'chatosam ki kavda ma'od. The yell, the cry coming from Sodom and Amorah is very great. It is increasing, and their sin is very heavy. And the commentaries say that is the nature of immorality, and the pursuit of materialism is rabba. It increases. It doesn't hit a plateau. It keeps increasing and getting worse and worse. And you don't have to look much further than our world, where what our world looked like 20 years ago, what our world looks like today, to see the increasing immorality and the level of lack of dignity and self-respect that people have for themselves. So God says, God says, I'm going to go down, and I want to see if the cry coming from Sodom is what it seems to be, I'm going to destroy the place. So Rashi says on the word hakitza'akosa, Rashi says, what does it mean? I want to see the cry, and this word hakitza'akosa is a female form. So Rashi says, well, I want to see if they're as bad as I think. But then there's a medrash that says the following. The medrash says that they were so cruel, they had a law in Sodom that you're not allowed to feed poor people because they didn't want poor people coming to town. They weren't interested in having beggars, and also without an affidavit, you couldn't get into America in the 40s, right? We don't want to create a society of people who are going to be draining our resources. It's it was considered a very, very plush, fertile region. We're not interested in having a bunch of it turning into a welfare society here. All with great justification. So what happened was, that's, by the way, you've heard the medrash that they used to have a bed. They have these beds at the entrance of Sodom. You heard these medrash? They had these two beds at the entrance of Sodom. If you wanted to get into Sodom, so first you had to lie down in this bed. If you were too short, they had to stretch you till you fit the bed. And if you were too tall, they cut your legs off to fit the bed. Right? That's what the Medrash says. It's one of the earliest Midrashim I remember hearing when I was about 5 years old, 6 years old. I mean, as a little kid, you picture it, my goodness, just a non-stop chopping factory over there. I want to ask you something. Imagine you're planning your vacation. You get your brochure. You go to Las Vegas, you go to Florida, you can go to the Bahamas, and you go to Sodom. What have they got to offer? Well, it's a great place, great hotels. The only thing is that you might lose your legs on the way in. I think we'll find an alternative. I like my odds better in Vegas. I'm not sure I want to do that. So what's going on? So there's an explanation that that's obviously an allegory. And how many times, if it did happen, how often do you think it happened? How many people do you think it happened to? At everywhere. So they say to you, okay, buddy, get into the bed, and they got a guillotine right by the feet. Turn around and run. How many times is it going to happen? So it seems to be they had some sort of immigration quota. We don't want people who are too short. They're going to be a drain on our society. We don't want people who are too tall. We don't want people coming in here with all sorts of strong ideas to change our society. We're happy the way things are. And there's some sort of allegory of an immigration quota. Okay. So then the Medrash says there was a young lady, there's a poor man, and he went around, nobody would feed him. And somehow they found that he's staying alive. If nobody's willing to give him any food, how's he staying alive? So they followed him, and they found that there was a young lady who was secretly feeding him. So what did they do to her? They took her up on a rooftop. They put honey all over her body, and the bees stung her to death. And that cry, Hatzikitzak, that was the cry that God heard. And if they're so cruel that they torture somebody who was kind, they tortured her to death, if that's what's happening, this place is finished. Okay? Now, God obviously knows the fact that God says, I will go down and see, is a lesson for judges in general. Don't pass judgment until you know for a fact. You have to make sure you know the facts, because God obviously knows the facts. But the question is, what's really going on with that torture? Well, what is the Torah trying to teach us with that bee, with the sting? That we'll see tomorrow. What's with the bee sting torture?